Hi guys, welcome back. It's been a very long hiatus as per usual with this channel. Seems like there's this little spurt of thing when I come back. I do a couple of videos and then I'm distant again for a while. Probably the case this time as well, but we'll see. As you can see by the intro to this video, you could probably guess what the video is going to be about. And it's about this. The L1A1 Slr self-loading rifle, the British adaptation of the FNFAL Fabrique Nationale FAL in 7.62 by 51. Now, you would have seen in the intro, along with obviously the covering music, how it kind of functions, hopefully, if you've been paying attention. But I will go through the ins and outs. You'll obviously notice, first off, this has a wooden buttstock and the polymer pistol grip and handguard. That's because this has been configured by myself at this present time to be more of the transitional period in this sort of early to mid 70s, where the wood was beginning to be phased out in favour of the polymer, or I can't remember the exact name of the composite makeup of the plastic, but it's basically ABS plastic, kind of like that. You get what it means. And I've obviously done the pistol grip as well, but kept the wood stock. One, it's a ball length change, and I kind of want the mixed furniture. So again, that transitional period. But the handguard and everything, that is there. That's the original wood handguard, as you can see there. And if I show you the pistol grip as well, and that's the pistol grip that came with this rifle when I first got it. So specifically on the markings, this is 1962. We see there. There you go. There we go. There we go. So 1962 UB. So I believe that's for Birmingham, if I'm not mistaken. And then the rifle 7.62mm L1A1, and then UB62. Very nice bit of kit. As you can see, carry handle as well. This is the wooden type. Again, still with that transitional period. The other type is here for the later, as you see there. Right, I will put these away quickly, and I will do a general function. Oh, the stock as well, by the way. If I was to change the stock, it would be that one as well. And it comes with different size butt plates. Different lengths for different uses. So, basics of the L1A1. It's a semi-automatic rifle. The FAL was originally designed to be select fire of semi-automatic and fully, but within British service it was seen as kind of unnecessary. Expensive ammunition, and generally a full power rifle cartridge being fired from a shouldered rifle at fully automatic doesn't really work that well. It can be done, absolutely can be done, I'm not saying it can't, but it's not really practical for a combat sense. If you're doing a quick mag dump for something for whatever reason, then that's one thing, but as a general universal tool, not the best. Again, not everyone's the same. I'll go over the general dynamics of this one. So we see the bolt release here. So when the bolt is pulled back, you can engage the bolt hold open. Excuse me, yeah, the bolt hold open. You can engage it, and you can disengage it by pulling it down, which activates the bolt release. The magazine release catch is here. So push that down, magazine rocks forward. Large tabs, as on the inch pattern of FALs, like for example the SLR, has larger tabs on the front. Metric mags can go in the L1A1 SLR, but these mags cannot go in metric FALs, like the ones used by Argentina, for example. As you can see in there, full mag of 7.62 NATO. Just for YouTube, these are not live rounds, these are inert, and for the UK government, these are inert. This is not a live firearm. this is a deactivated firearm, perfectly legal to own in the UK, as long as you have the paperwork, so on and so forth. Again, mag itself, that's a 1959 dated mag as well, so a nice early one, because the British Army officially adopts the SLR, the FAN, and then SLR in 1957, and then lives on until the 90s, basically. As you can see on the side here, we have the selector, fire selector. So in that up position, that is in safe, and then down, that is in R for repetition, which is fire basically, or semi-automatic in other form. But yeah, S for safe, R for repetition. Really nice kind of positive action on that. And you can see this little gizmo on the side here as well. This is the release catch for the breaking open the weapon to get into the insides, which we will do now. So to do that, make sure mag is out as it is. Also, quick question, these are the sights. Flip up, and it can be moved up to a range of up to, if I get in the camera, and the light even, I think it's well, you could move up to about 600 yards, but obviously you can go further, and obviously optics can be put on this, like the suit sight, suit Trilux, the Starlight night scope as well, and other kind of optics and scopes were put on this during its lifetime with the British Army as well. But as I said, flip up sights. With most of the metric valves, you see fixed sights, but as a general thing, with majority of the Commonwealth style, you see flip up sights, so they can be put out the way if need be. As we said, carry handle. So we'll do a quick field strip of this now. I'll quickly demonstrate in this position. This goes into general manual of arms as well, making sure the safety's on, etc. So safety's off, safety's now on. Cocking the weapon, so the cocking handle flips up and flip out the way. Pull that all the way to the rear, checking the breech, magazine and everything, and the face, making sure that's all clear. Again, this is DX, so that's not really generally needed, but it's always good practice. So chamber, basically magwell, and then face, making sure it's all clear. I can put the bolt release on, bolt catch on, holding that, but because of the way this has been deactivated, it doesn't really hold it, but so I won't bother doing that. But to basically put the weapon into, to cock the weapon, just let that fly forward, and you're ready to go. The weapon is cocked. It would put around, if the magazine was in, it would put around the chamber, but again the safety is on, so you wouldn't be able to fire. Once that safety is off, safety off, and squeeze the trigger, and there we go. So we've cocked the weapon again, put the weapon on safe again, cock the weapon, let it fly forward, and now we break down the weapon. So catch on this side, as you see here, you pull that to the rear, and then the weapon breaks open like so. Take the top cover off. That's the first part. You don't have to take off the top cover to remove the guts, but it always helps. So there's the top cover. That can be replaced with other etc. items, which I will show in a minute, but that is the inside of the weapon. I will close this now quickly, so you can see the workings of when the top cover is off. So this is the bolt. As you can see. And that is when, so when cocked, this is the hammer. That gets cocked every time. This moves to the rear when a round is fired, and then puts the round into battery, and then it's ready to go, and it's cocked. So if you pull the trigger again, take off the safety, there you go. So I will cock this again, because you need to cock it to remove the guts, because otherwise the hammer's in the way. Safety is on, breaking it open again, and then you have the rat's tail, which is the activates the recoil spring, etc. inside the stock, and that is a simple field strip. Put this weapon down here quickly. So we have the remove the bolt and the bolt carrier. See with the bolt carrier. So it has had a cut put down the side during the deactivation, which is odd how they've done it, and the bolt itself, as you can see, they've cut slants in the bolt's face for for the deactivation and removing of the firing pin as well. So this cannot be used at all again. People say, oh, these can be reactivated. It takes a lot of metal work and a lot of trust, because if you get tolerances wrong and pressure build up and you're trying to reactivate a deactivated firearm, which I wouldn't recommend at all, and it's very hard to do, you basically create a hand grenade, and it's more likely to hurt the user than anyone else, if that was the intended purpose of reactivating a deactivated firearm. I don't see why you would, because it's silly. And then either of those arguments are fairly vapid, and I will still stand by that to this day. To put it back into the bolt carrier, having it upwards, these lugs here slot into the back here, and then there's a tail at the back, you can see there, that slots into the back, and then this can slide freely to and from. So when it's in battery, when the weapon's in battery, that is forward. When the weapon fires, that goes back. Then when it's engaged into here with the gas tube, etc. There are no gas parts in this. They're removed in deactivation, as well as the housing for the gas piston itself. And there was a cut put down the length of the barrel on the top, on the underside, underneath the handguard. And then that was welded in, so it's got multiple measures, and there's a bar in the chamber as well. So the barrel is absolutely non-usable whatsoever. Even if you remove that bar, you've still got a weld going up the length of the barrel, which again, a lot of effort, something if you wanted to reactivate it, but again, pointless. So to put the back in, making sure the bolt is forward itself in the bolt carrier, into the slots, letting it drop forward like so. So that can then now freely move in the sleds. And I can close that if I wanted to now, but I would want to put it on the top cover. Again, top cover here, into the two slots engaged, and that should just slide forward like so, and closing the breech, or closing the actual action, and it's ready to go. And that should be simple as that. Great bit of kit. Love this thing. Sorry for some of this has been out of frame, but there. I'll give you a nice look at the markings again. You can see. There we go. And then the other side. Yeah, and you can see these serrated, these carved out areas, these serrated edges. This is to help with dirt and grime. So these basically sand cuts, I should say. These sand cuts. So debris, dirt, sands, etc., means this is more likely to work with these cuts in, because there's more surface area for it to be any grime, etc., to be dissipated on the action itself, and it's less likely to interfere if it's in these grooves than if it was on the actual main face of the bolt itself, interfering with the how action, etc. With the wood stock, you still have the butt trap. So if you see in there's the pull through, and there'll be the oil bottle you could put in there as well. But most of the time you have it in a little tin for the SLR. But I put it in there anyway. It could fit other things as well, whatever you wanted to put in there. But that's in there for now. Again, you can't do that with the polymer, the plastic stock. But that's beside the point. Again, yeah, this plastic furniture does make the weapon lighter, somewhat. But it's not that much of a difference really. It is slightly more comfortable with the polymer forend than the wooden one, and especially with the pistol capacity as well. It's actually more comfortable than the wood one, which for some people might be sacrilege, but the wood stock is definitely nicer. It is more lovely. But yeah, that's basically L1A1 Slr. Obviously sling attachments, etc. Front and rear. This is the 5 slot flash hider, which is rather akin to the more later ones, I believe, if I remember correctly. I actually might have that wrong way. Bayonet lugs for the L2A1 SLR bayonet, if I'm not mistaken. Good little bow bayonet. Some people not too keen. I quite like it. Gives you definitely a bit more reach, especially considering how long this is, as you can see. But yeah, that is the L1A1 Slr. I might quickly do a down footage here to show you the parts a bit more closely and how it all goes together, etc. I know it's kind of showed on here, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we'll cut to that now. Okay. So with the rifle here, there you go, and break it open. We'll cock the weapon first, I should say. As you can see there, and again, the weapon is safe. Again, nothing can be chambered for this. Top cover off. There's top cover, and then we have the slide, the bolt, and the bolt carrier. Take this out. Here we have the bolt and the bolt carrier. You can see here, and that can be taken out like that. That is literally very simple. You can see here, very simple breakdown of the weapon. Top cover, bolt carrier, bolt itself, and then that is literally it. There's nothing else really in the guts there, bar obviously the trigger mechanism, sorry, with the safety catch. If I was to close this and fire off the action, the plunger that holds that basically helps recock the action would basically fly out, and that'd be fun getting back in. And I'm not doing that right now because I'm not in the mood for that. But that is basically it. There's nothing too much to it. As you can see with the bolt carrier, the slot that's been cut in the side, and then we have the rat's tail, which has the plunger, which allows to which engages with the recoil spring, etc. And that is slightly sprung on how it moves as well, as you can see. And then obviously the bolt itself, that's cut like that, so etc. And the lugs on the back which engage with the slots in here. So as we put this in, so upside, making sure that these lugs, when put in here, are pointing upwards. So if the bolt carrier is upside down, like a turtle on its back, like that. So making sure that, oh sorry, there you go, I'm trying to get in the camera, that is engaging with this hole back here. So into there, that should slot in like that, and simple as that. And then that slides back and forth like so. Again, in battery, not in battery, in battery, not in battery. That's simply how it works. Top cover, simple sheet metal, nothing too much to it. It just allows things can be attached to this, or versions of it can be attached. So bracket can be attached onto it for the suit sight or the suit trilux, which uses a tritium filament or tritium to illuminate a point inside it facing downwards. It's good for they're quite good for snap shooting. They're not the best for sort of long use sort of sharp shooting. They can be, but they're not the best for that. But again, that's just the top cover. There are different types, as I said, of sights that can go on the SLR. Ones I mentioned previously, and also quickly, let me just go grab it. This. So this is the sight system and the main laser sight system for the SAWS kit. So SAWES. I can't remember what that stands for, but it's basically the early adoption by the British Army and other nations, I believe, as well, if I'm not mistaken, of a basically laser tag system. You've probably seen or heard about systems used for the last 10-15 years or so with the British Army and others, which are similar to this. Basically, this is the laser unit which is attached to the infantryman's rifle. There are similar units attached to other weapons, infantry small arms. Then this is also paired with several other units. So you have the cable that is attached to here at the back. Sorry, here. On this stop here, wire goes down to a trigger mechanism system, which is attached to your trigger. So every time you pull the trigger, firing a blank, supposedly, well, you just have to pull the trigger. It would activate the laser from the unit, believe it's this one, or it's another attachment. I can't exactly remember. I believe it's just this, which then fires a laser or infrared, basically, to another system, because each individual is wearing basically a harness with loads of little detectors on it, which when fired at by the laser will activate and basically set off like a little a beeper or an alarm and a flashing light on the wearable set, which then basically signifies you've been hit, you've been wounded, or been killed, etc., depending on what the system decides to say or the umpires declare you as during the exercise. So that's basically the system, as I said. So this is on the slightly later rail. So this is actually the rail setup system. Sorry, this one here is the rail setup system for the SA80, for example. Well, for the SUSAT site, I should say, for the SUSAT rail, but it's been attached to an SLR top cover. So you can use. So technically, I could put on a SUSAT to my SLR. I have put this on before. The way this has been put on, though, it does sometimes interfere with the bolt, but again, it's not too much of an issue because again, it's not a live firearm, so it's not too much of an issue there. But that can fit on, and I will show you this in a second. But yeah, that's basically an interesting little bit of kit. The scope itself is almost identical to that of the Suit Trilux. If I can get a picture in there at all. There we go. There you go. You can just about see. There you go. The point coming down there from the top. Very, very cool. It's quite clear. It does weigh a hell of a chunk. You can see this is a beefy thing, with obviously the battery that goes in here, and obviously this does have tritium in it as well, and some other bits and pieces. I believe it has tritium in it, if I'm not mistaken. Might be something else. I can't remember. But yeah, there you go. Gas, plasma, laser. If you see that there, there we go. There we go. I'm saying all these things. I'm not showing you. There you go. That probably helps. But yeah, there's the rail for it. Very, very cool. I believe there's a stamp there as well, actually, on the top cover. Yeah, there you go. Which is kind of cool. Yeah, that's the source kit, the laser kit. So something else that you don't really see normally. I'll try and put out some pictures actually of this in use towards the end and see how you guys feel and sort of think about that. So, and some of you guys might have even used this at some point, because the first times I'm seeing this in use is around 1984, 85, mainly 85, with British Army anyway. But there might be earlier uses, but basically brand new in the mid 80s, as far as I'm aware. But yeah, so that's that, and that's how the SLR is broken down into its component parts, just for a simple filter strip, as I've already shown, but a little bit more closer there. So again, hope you enjoyed. Again, this is a bit of an old angle to be finishing the video with, but I hope you enjoyed that. I'll add some pictures on that at the end. And yeah, thank you guys for joining again. Again, sorry for the hiatus, because it's always like this, but yeah, hope you've enjoyed, and goodbye.